Hey everyone! Fun fact about me is that I am a movies person over a book person. I love reading, but I just love film and visuals so much more. And recently I've been watching a lot of movies, but not just for the sake of being entertained, but for the sake of analyzing characters and character traits. Being someone who is previously a writer, really loves being able to see how a character is crafted, especially their protagonists.
Whoa, man, wait a second.
What is a protagonist? A protagonist is usually known as the hero of a story or the main character. Usually we're rooting for them, but if we're not, we're just taken on a journey where the angle of a film or a story is primarily viewed through their lens. They take us not just through the entire story, but they also take us on a roller coaster of emotions. Some of them leave us feeling like, why would you do that? But most of all, what makes a hero in many films is their ability to go out on a limb and be really bold and make a difference. And it has this effect on us that leaves us saying, you know what? I want to be just like them. Now, I am a fan, massive fan of comedy, action films, rom-coms, but what I've actually been watching lately, which I can take life lessons away from, are actually films about faith.
He's been underwater for more than 15 minutes. It's gonna be a recovery, not a rescue. I got something.
Why? Well, I'm never gonna be able to have telekinetic abilities, be able to shapeshift, or have my own super suit or cape that allows me to fly.
Honey!
What?
Where's my super suit?
All of that is crazy cool. But when the credits start rolling, reality starts to sink in, and it's all just one big cinematic illusion that keeps us usually entertained. Being able to see characters live out their faith on film is, for me, just a whole nother level of superpower. Now, hands up, anyone here who's a Chadwick Boseman fan? RIP to one of the greats. So a lot of us know about his epic role in Black Panther, but do you know about his role in a movie as Jackie Robinson? Chadwick Boseman played a role in a film called 42. And the most beautiful thing about that film is that Chadwick Boseman plays a real symbol of hope. For generations to come, he just doesn't really know it yet. Now, spoiler alert. I know usually when people say that kind of thing, they ask you to pause the film right now, go and watch it, and then come back, but since we're in chapel, can't really do that, so you are going to know a lot of what happens in the story, but I am still encouraging you to watch it because it's just epic. The movie chronicles a true story of iconic player 42, Jacky Robinson. He defies baseball's unjust color barrier in 1947. Thanks to the heroic act of Brooklyn Dodgers owner Rickey, Jacky, an unsigned African-American baseball player, is given the chance to play Major League Baseball, despite knowing they'll face backlash from the public, press, and players. And for just over 2 hours, you watch them endure a daily fight for dignity as you enter a grim snapshot of American sports history. So what I love most about this movie is that it actually comes with a lot of depth and layers. On the top layer, you just think, okay, this guy is trying to make it in the baseball league and he's got this opportunity. Cool. But then you kind of realize, okay, but he's colored and he's the only one of his kind at the time, and all this discrimination is happening to him and he's getting beat down game after game. How's he gonna make it through it? But then bam, you realize, okay, hold on, this movie is actually about him trusting God and being planted where God is calling him to be, and he's wrestling with it and he wants to give up, but he's just I'm walking in faith here, I'm living out the sermon, I am the sermon, and you're like, wow.
Whoa, that's fire.
I'm gonna break down a few scenes, and I'm gonna break down the Bible verse that it actually relates to. So here we go. Early in this film, we see Rickey's attempt to convince Jacky to play for the Montreal Royals baseball team, Brooklyn's top farm club, warning Jacky of the maltreatment that awaits him if he accepts. Rickey challenges Jacky to have enough guts to not fight back and to avoid echoing a curse with a curse. because at the time, the segregation that was happening puts Jacky at like a mad disadvantage.
You want a player who doesn't have the guts to fight back?
No. No. I want a player who's got the guts not to fight back. People aren't gonna like this. They're gonna do anything to get you to react. Echo a curse with a curse and they'll hear only yours.
If he ever engages in a fight, he is pretty much the only one to blame and not the guys who provoked him. His mentor Rickey insists that Jacky win the hearts of the people by playing great baseball and having a sound moral compass. And I love that because here we see a prime example of Romans 12:17-18, where it says, "Repay no one evil for evil. Have regard for good things in the sight of all men." So it's talking about when you feel like you need to avenge yourself and serve justice in your hand, through your hands, and you're the one who wants to call the shots because you've been hurt or someone you know has been hurt, is to do it not through the same ways that that person has hurt you. Here's another scene, and this one really pulls on my heartstrings.
Right now, I'm living a sermon out there.
You don't matter now, Jack. You're in this thing. You don't have a right to pull out from the backing of people that believe in you, that respect you, that need you.
So,
You're the one living the sermon.
As Jacky collapses on his knees, you can see him frustrated, you can see him furious, and you can just see him wailing because he is deciding whether or not his decision to play ball is actually even worth it. Jacky cops a lot of verbal abuse from fans and players, and he's being denied fair access to accommodation and transport. Then Rickey comes along and he brings to the surface that the game, him playing, is far bigger than just himself. This scene especially teaches us that when something is called by God and when we are walking in faith, no matter what trial it is, the purpose and the perseverance is going to matter so much more than what we are facing. It reminds me of this verse in the Bible. In 1 Corinthians 10:13, it says, "No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. God is faithful and he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. But the temptation, he will also provide the way of escape, that you may be able to endure it." Whatever trial or fires you may have, just know that God has given us people like Rickey in our lives.
Now for some of us, there are names and faces coming to mind of people who are playing for us in our team.
They're the people that we get to journey with to have strength and hope to face any challenge. One sports writer, who was also Jacky's one-man PR team mentor and friend, Wendell Smith, used his writing abilities to document Jacky's journey. Towards the end of the film, the Brooklyn Dodgers actually make it to the World Series championships and they win it. Wendell describes Jacky in his article as an influencer who is changing the world and refusing to let it change him.
The man flat out has guts. A stand-up force of nature, he's complicated everything but himself. He's changing the world and refusing to let it change him.
When it comes to sharing Jesus with people who don't know him yet, the Bible encourages us with this. "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is good and acceptable and perfect will of God." Romans 12:2. In 42, we see an example of just that. A man living by faith, using his God-given abilities and refusing to let the world tear him down. So, going back to the layers, you really see it. You see his foundation being God, and then you see him being able to conquer the trials that he's going through, which is the racism, discrimination, and just discouragement that he's facing. And then you also see him then be able to play not just in a league, but also win the world championships with his teammates. Jackie Robinson had faith. That was his superpower. He was bold enough to follow God, and he was able to blaze a trail for generations to come to do the same. There are a few other characters in the Bible that have journeyed in a similar way. And then you got Noah, who built an ark, aka a big ass ship, to help us survive the flood. And even though at the time everyone was like, "Oh, Noah, a flood, I don't see no rain, but I see you building a big ass ship, what for? You're kind of crazy." Even if that, he was still able to be bold and actually save the people, so they were able to populate and thrive after the flood. Like Esther, who became a queen. During her time, women never called the shots, let alone stand up for a certain opinion or reason in front of a king. But because of the people that believed in her, the Jews, and because of her uncle Mordecai, who was a man of God as well, and he also trained and mentored her as well as adopted her because she didn't have any parents, because of them, she was able to strategically, politically make moves to save an entire nation. And then there's, of course, Jesus, who takes our place instead of death. He loves us anyway, even when we don't want to. So today, I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you to walk by faith through the rings of fire that you may be going through. To say no to the temptations, the things that are fake, that are temporary, and that are superficial, and instead to say yes to a good God. It's going to help you bring change and actually make a difference for generations to come.